Well, we've now moved into September, but crime on the streets of Dublin in particular shows no sign of abating whatsoever. Yesterday morning, in the early hours of Sunday morning, there was another violent incident on the streets. A man in his 40s was attacked by another man wielding a knife and is in a critical condition in hospital. Yesterday morning, being Sunday morning, large parts of Dublin city centre were cordoned off for police forensic examination as the man was continuing to receive treatment in hospital. So I'm going to show you a quick video clip just to let you see what things were looking like yesterday morning in Dublin and then get into the details of the case. And remember, this is set against the backdrop of last Friday or the Friday before, after a tourist was violently assaulted in the Temple Bar area of Dublin and is still in hospital in a critical condition. The Justice Minister, Jim O'Callaghan, took the opportunity to say that in his belief, just in his opinion, Dublin was getting safer and he would have no problem walking around Dublin at any time of the day or night. Well, I'm just still waiting for Jim to go on a walk around unaccompanied by Garda protection, of course, just to put his theory to the test. But for now, let's have a look at this clip and we'll get into the bones of this story. Let me shift it to this. Here we go.
Remains in a serious condition. He and other emergency services responded to an incident at Westmoreland Street around 6:30 this morning. A man who's in his 40s had been assaulted. He was taken by ambulance to St James's Hospital, where he remains in a serious condition. Gardai closed off 6 separate areas as they conducted forensic examinations this morning. They included the corner of Westmoreland Street and Fleet Street, at the corner with Aston Quay, and the footpath and cycle paths on the western side of O'Connell Bridge. On O'Connell Street, the footpath outside 4 businesses near the corner with Bachelor's Walk was closed, while the pavement just below the iconic Cleary's clock was also taped off. Gardai concluded their work at these scenes and reopened them before midday. The investigation continues, and anyone with information should contact Gardai at Pearse Street Station. Coleman O'Sullivan, RTE News.
So there you have it. That's the aftermath of this attack, which has left a man fighting for his life in hospital. And again, the question needs to be asked: how can the so-called Justice Minister make a statement that his belief Dublin's getting safer whenever this is happening? This is just happening non-stop. It should come as no surprise that this is the news that's breaking on a Monday morning, or at least it broke originally yesterday morning, and now we're still trying to piece together the information about this one. So let's look at the actual information that we have at the minute. So, man stabbed outside a popular Dublin hotel as Gardai steal off 6 separate areas in the capital. Now, don't forget, this is coming up off the backdrop of a man who also died in Dublin city centre after allegedly being shoved by a member of An Garda Síochána a few weeks ago as well. So, the place is treacherous, to say the least, especially at night. A man in his 40s was stabbed outside College Green Hotel in Dublin early Sunday morning. And there we have one of the squad cars there, Garda preserving the scenes on Westmoreland Street and O'Connell Street following a serious assault. Investigators are combing for evidence, sealed off areas, as we saw, around O'Connell Street, O'Connell Bridge, Westmoreland Street, and the College Green area following the horrific attack, which took place at around 6:30 a.m. So it would have been light at around that time, early hours on Sunday morning. A man in his 40s was rushed to hospital with understood to be suffering from stab injuries. It took place outside the front corner of the Westin Hotel. The man was taken to St James Hospital by ambulance, where his condition is serious. Gardai were seen stealing off multiple parts. Well, it must be pretty bad, because normally when someone's taken to the hospital and they're not dead, we're told that they have non-life-threatening injuries. So this guy must be in a bad way, as he's being described as in a serious condition. Some of the footpath in O'Connell Street outside McDonald's, Eddie Rockets, also closed off to the public in the morning, and an area underneath Cleary's clock. Investigators from Pierce Street are probing the incident, which is suspected to have been a row that escalated to a stabbing in the early hours of the morning. I've seen some footage that is circulating online. I'm not putting it up here simply because it's not verified, but it was from a reasonably accurate source. Let's just say it showed an Irishman or a man that looked like he was from Ireland versus a man who didn't look like he was from Ireland getting into it on the street in the early hours of Sunday morning. Whether or not it was the same people or not, I don't know, but this is yet to be confirmed. So that's why I'm not showing it. I don't have it verified. But if you search on social media under the heading of Dublin stabbing, you may well see some of the footage that's being put up that is being linked to this, but without any confirmation. So, statement about the incident, Gardai said the Pierce Street attended the scene of a serious assault early on the Sunday, the 31st. They responded to the incident. A male in his 40s has been removed. You see, all they're doing is talking about the scene of the crime. They're talking about the guy that was taken to the hospital, and hopefully he'll pull through in that one. But what about the person doing the assaulting? Now, there's no way on earth that there aren't CCTV. This is right the way through Dublin city centre here. There's 6 areas in Dublin city centre have been cordoned off for forensic examination. There is no way that there is not CCTV footage of this happening. There's just no way. No way at all. So if they have CCTV footage, and by the looks of it, they haven't made any arrests, so the person that did this is still at large, they must at least have some kind of description of the attacker, what he was wearing, his height, his build, color of his skin. It must be there, it must be, but they're not releasing any information while this person's still at large. So the scene has been preserved for technical examination and it's ongoing, but I believe they've opened the place up now. So it's back to business as usual. Yeah, it comes against a backdrop of violence in the capital, from an assault of an English tourist in Temple Bar to a violent scrap videoed in the centre of Sean McDermott Street, both of which have been covered on this channel, among many, 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 many others, not just in Dublin, but right across Ireland. This also comes amid comments from O'Callaghan saying Dublin is getting safer. A large capital city is always going to have incidents of criminal behaviour, but my own view is Dublin's getting safer. Jim O'Callaghan, completely detached from all reality, completely unfit to hold the job of Justice Minister. The man is an absolute menace and completely detached from all reality. Social Democrat Gary Gannon, who I don't have any time for, but he makes a few valid points and then mixes in his usual virtue signaling and point scoring here. The views expressed by O'Callaghan were completely tone deaf. The minister may feel safe walking around. Not only is he 6'5" in height, but he comes from one of the wealthiest constituents in the country. This appears to be a case of him talking about 2 separate Dublins, which is true. Okay, which is true. And this is also coming off of the back of this that was released by Garda Síochána last week, knife-related crime analysis. Basically, look, there's a lot of arrows pointing downwards on this one. So they carried out an analysis over a 10-year period, and we're told that assault causing harm with a knife accounted less than 5% of incidents in 2024. And then that's a 12-month period, allegedly. And then they're talking about a 10-year period, saying that those assaults counted for less than 7%. 40% reduction here, 35% reduction there. So an increase in prosecutions and the amount of knives seized. So that figures, or those statistics from Garda Síochána, they don't really seem to be tallying up with the amount of reports that we're seeing about this type of crime. And it is absolutely rampant. It is rampant. At one stage, there was an attack happening every day. I can remember back in February or March of this year, there was 6 days in a row. There were reports coming in from all over Ireland of this happening. And whether or not they died off a little bit, or they're simply not being reported, which I know they're not, it's still a massive, massive problem. So anyway, that's the state of play with what happened in Dublin over the weekend. No description of the attacker, no further information, no arrests made. man lying in a terrible condition in hospital, and yet the attacker is still out there on the streets of Dublin, or maybe he's went somewhere else. So let me know what you think about this one. Leave me your thoughts, comments, and opinions below. As always, share this video if you find it useful. Chop it up, use it wherever you want. Stick it out into your Facebook groups, your WhatsApp groups, email lists, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media. Over and out.